Hey everyone, good morning. I wish you a very warm welcome to the ninth SRI seminar series. So, this is a part of the EDA South Florida Risk and Resilience Tech Hub. I'm going to talk about the Tech Hub for just about 2 minutes, introduce our speaker, and then it's her turn. So, the Risk and Resilience Tech Hub, for those of you who don't know, is a public-private partnership working across the four-county region to commercialize solutions for changing relationship to water and extreme weather. It is one of 31 federally designated tech hubs, and as part of it, we have three projects focusing on next generation concrete, on workforce, and on governance. Ultimately, the objective is economic development, that is, a resilient economy, infrastructure, good jobs, thriving startups in the region, stronger national security. Broadly speaking, we are interested in an entire ecosystem that in the oceans, for example, coastal defense is critical. When we talk about buildings, energy efficient buildings are critical, clean cement for manufacturing purposes, and a number of other components that we are interested in are here. That's why, as part of these series, you've heard from really a very diverse range of stakeholders or participants. So this version and this talk is going to be about resilient housing for North America. So I'm very pleased to welcome Kim Dupont-Madinier, who is a French-American entrepreneur, design engineer, and founder with over 13 years of experience developing innovative building technologies for global markets. And today she's going to talk about the work that she is doing as part of Meridian Solutions for resilient housing. So thank you very much, Kim, for doing this. Thank you to everyone for your interest, and over to you.
Thank you, Pranoy, very much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to tell you about my company, Meridian. So, feel free to jump in at any time with any questions. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep moving through the material. But ultimately, I'm open to answer any questions that you guys might have, and looking forward to the conversation. So, as Pranoy mentioned, my company is called Meridian, and really our mission is to accelerate the world's transition towards a more efficient built environment. So, what are the specific problems that we're looking to solve for today? Well, today, global housing stock is due to double by 2050, while productivity is only increasing by 1% every year and construction costs continue to rise. And this is further compounded by the fact that the construction industry, as you all probably well know, is responsible for almost 40% of the world's CO2 production. And while some people believe that prefab could potentially solve for many of these issues, even the Modular Building Institute came out in an article recently and cited that offsite construction is only 4% cheaper than traditional construction. So, why is that? Well, based on my industry experience, what I found is that traditionally, most prefab builders are still building a building the same way you would on site, but just as a kit of parts in a warehouse facility. And what's happening is that these builders are applying commodity building materials that aren't actually optimized for streamlined manufacturing process. And so that's resulting in really inefficient execution processes that are carrying over between the off-site construction, shipping and handling, and on-site construction process. And moreover, often these building materials are only applied to meet code specifications instead of higher performance specifications, right? So all this ends up compounding in terms of increasing time, costs, and energy. Now, how do I know this? Well, I've spent the last 13 years developing innovative solutions in prefab construction. I've co-created 20 patents today in various system and assembly designs for the construction industry. And as a Fulbright engineer, as a Fulbright scholar and design engineer, really my focus is on finding new ways to make the installation of these building materials more efficient in order to achieve a more streamlined execution process. And my journey, really, in developing this global expertise in prefab construction, began when I was 21, when I created the foundation for Meridian's patented technology today. through a Department of Energy competition. So at the time, I was the student team leader of a project called Textile House. And our team sought to challenge traditional notions of sustainable design by not only building a prefabricated house that uses solar panel systems, which was the initial requirements of the competition, but we actually sought to challenge traditional notions of sustainable design by building the world's first ever prefabricated textile house that met the Passive House standard, which was also solar powered. And so it met the Passive House standard, or was designed according to the Passive House standard, and as a result enables you to reduce your energy load by 90%. So that, in combination with the PV system that we applied, ultimately made the house a net zero solution. So on the inside, the house was very incredibly innovative. It was 1,200 square foot home, 12 to 18 foot tall ceilings. It cost about $1.2 million to build for 3 builds across 2 different continents, because our team was based between the Rhode Island School of Design, Brown University, and University of Erfurt Applied Sciences. And we had to build the house first in the US and then build it second time at the competition in Versailles in France. And then we built it a third time in its final location. So the house was incredibly well received by the general public, in addition to notable architectural magazines like ArcDaily saying that it was not only a model for energy efficiency, but an elegant piece of design as well. And while we were very well received by the general public, the feedback that we got from the judges was that they really recommended us to adapt the technology for a social need. So after the competition, our team had actually planned to permanently install the house on an estate called the Domaine de Bois Boucher, which is an estate owned today by the previous curator of the Pompidou Museum in Paris. So for those of you who don't know, that's like the equivalent of the MoMA in New York City. And on his estate, he currently uses this house as a luxury artist residency for famous artists and designers who come teach workshops for a week or two at a time on his estate. So after the team completed that install, I did significant research in order to identify how we could adapt this lightweight, energy efficient building envelope system for a social need. And I ended up moving to Mongolia on a Fulbright fellowship specifically. So why Mongolia? Because Mongolia today is actually the most polluted city in the world in the wintertime, where 2/3 of the city is burning between 6 to 8 tons of coal per household. And a large portion of these households is actually households living in gers, which is commonly known as a yurt in the West, but that's actually a Russian term, and the correct Mongolian term is a ger. And so the pollution today is so bad in the wintertime in Mongolia that it's 3 times higher than what the World Health Organization currently qualifies as being toxic. So cancer is rampant, and pregnant women have to leave the city because of birthing complications, and it's causing a whole slew of health issues across the city. So when I arrived, I was really adamant about making sure I would effectively adapt the technology for a social need. And I met with a local community organizer in order to ask him if I could live with different families in these non-formal urban areas, specifically in Aguirre, and collect qualitative and quantitative data so I could understand how best to adapt the technology, not only from a cultural perspective, but also from a monetary perspective, in addition to other important factors to make sure it was appropriately adapted, right? And I'll never forget the 2 most important facts or lessons that I walked away with from that experience, which is the first is that every Mongolian, I love this fact because I actually find it to be very profound. And the first is that every Mongolian actually knows how to build their own home because every Mongolian knows how to build their own ger. And the second was that one of the women that I lived with in these non-formal urban areas, the first time I met her, her face was completely bashed in because she was escaping her husband who was abusing her, and she had nowhere else to go. And we were the same age at the time, 25 years old, and she had 2 sons. And I just remember thinking to myself, if I can adapt this technology and be able to build these types of homes for people like her, then that's a real win. So with those 2 lessons, I arrived in Mongolia essentially knowing only 2 people by email when I first arrived. And by the end of the year, I was able to design, build, and fundraise my second energy efficient prefabricated textile home. and found an investor also who invested in design with the intention of building 13 more. Uh, the house was a 560 square foot house, ranged in ceiling height between 9 to 13 foot tall ceilings, and cost $21,000 for approximately one build for a family of five. And what's more, which is a huge privilege, is that a couple years later, the World Bank actually used the house as a case study and even noted the housing solution as a evidence-based integrated response to the structural housing deficiencies and severe air pollution crisis in Ulaanbaatar's air districts. So after that experience, even though it was incredibly profound and very rewarding from a social impact perspective, what I was very frustrated about was needing to figure out a way to adapt the technology so I could figure out how to scale it efficiently and in a cost-effective way. So I took a job with the world's leading building material manufacturer, Saint-Gobain, and became the lead design engineer for their US offsite construction initiative under one of their American subsidiaries called Certainty. So Certainty today, for those of you who don't know, they make classic commodity building materials, everything from vinyl siding, asphalt shingles, insulation, different vapor and air barrier systems, etc. And my job was to adapt their product portfolio of building materials for panelized single family homes. And what was incredibly valuable is at that time, the company, Saint-Gobain, had set a worldwide mission to become the world leader in lightweight construction. So it was incredibly constructive and educational as an experience because it gave me a global understanding of the future of construction as well as the future of offsite construction or prefab construction as well. And today, these are the homes that Certainty is currently selling under One Precision Assemblies. So after all this market research, what is Meridian's solution today? Well, today, what we offer is a patented, customizable, prefabricated product platform that's 12 times faster to build while being radically resourceful and offering a higher quality experience. So specifically, our solution leverages our IP, our industry knowledge, and our application of advanced materials to streamline the design engineering, permitting, manufacturing, shipping and handling, and on-site installation process, such that we can reliably complete the build of the house in just 12 days on site. And our long-term objective is to be able to deliver the product in just 90 days on site. Second, our solution is also radically resourceful. Why? Because our patent predominantly focuses on the application of advanced lightweight materials, which means that you're inherently reducing the overall weight of the building. And when you reduce the overall weight of the building, what happens is that you inherently have less material, less labor, less shipping and handling logistics, less equipment. And so you're inherently reducing the overall inertia that's required to execute on that project. Second, our system is actually significantly leaner as well. So we apply these lightweight materials strategically to meet passive house design strategies so that we can reduce the overall energy load of the building as well. And our solution is also significantly smarter because what we figured out how to do is how to strategically apply those building materials so that we can actually build the building envelope the same way no matter the climate zone that we're in. And then finally, which is incredibly innovative because it enables us to ultimately streamline the manufacturing process. And then finally, our solution is simultaneously faster and quieter to execute. Why? Because our sub-assemblies are already pre-finished and they simply click, zip, ratchet, or slip into place, which also accelerates the construction time while also allowing for a quieter construction process. As a result, all of these benefits ultimately enable us to significantly optimize the value chain of a construction project, which means that now builders can significantly improve their unit economics because they can do now more projects in less time with less resources, ultimately increasing their ROI. So what makes our solution so unique? Well, our patent specifically today, we have a two-part system to our IP portfolio. We have utility patent, which was awarded back in July, as well as a copyrighted design. So between the market application of our different market application opportunities of our IP, our utility patent today can be applied to multi-story buildings, data centers, temporary event spaces, manufactured homes, commuting spaces, airports, climate-controlled warehouses, ICU units, and workforce housing. while our utility patent, in combination with our copyrighted architectural designs, can be applied to modular homes, casitas and ADUs, luxury eco resorts, boutique hotels, and temporary housing. And this is no small market. So if you take into consideration the serviceable, attainable market today for the luxury hotel market, as well as the modular and prefab market, it is about a $33 billion market opportunity. So that means, and it's growing about 5 to 6% every year. So that means if we were even to only capture 1% of that market, that would make us a $330 million company. And at a 10x valuation, which is normal for startups, that would make us a $3.3 billion company. Now, our traction so far has been phenomenal. We've already raised $1.2 million in grants and non-dilutive funding for the first 2 homes that are already built, operating, and occupied. And then we have 2 warm, even though there's many different developers that we've spoken with to date, really we have 2 strong warm leads today for 2 different early adopter developers who we're actively discussing potential product applications today. And what's great is that, the feedback that we're getting from these different key industry stakeholders is that they really understand the value in the product because they really appreciate the time savings that it offers. And what's more is that I've actually been able to collect significant customer insights from the house that was permanently installed at the Domaine de Bois Boucher, and was able to gather that 100% of customers recommend staying in one of these homes. Why? Because they love the unique ambiance, the unique experience, and the technical innovation combined with the comfort and ease of use of the house. So today, our competitive advantage really lies in the fact that what we can offer is that we can offer an accelerated permitting process with a solution that's easier to deploy and code compliant, that is optimized for a broad range of applications. If you take into consideration the whole breadth of our IP, the whole breadth of the different building typologies our IP portfolio can target today, a solution that's hurricane and seismic zone resistant. So that first house I showed you that we built back in Versailles, that was actually a Category 4 rated building envelope enclosure, and it's possible to also engineer it for a Category 5 as well. The solution is also climate dominant, so that's the building envelope system that enables us to build the same way no matter the climate zone that we're in. It's relocatable. It also offers improved unit economics because of all of the execution efficiencies associated with the product platform. And on top of that, it offers a unique experience for end users, which is great because it enables brands, the builders themselves, to enhance their brand while also offering the end user a unique experience, which is very much in demand today, especially for luxury hotels and things like eco resorts, for example. So who are we working with today? Well, today we have a developer that we're working with who's interested in working with us for a variety of different applications, including a luxury eco resort in Costa Rica, luxury eco resort, an affordable housing development in the Virgin Islands, as well as a project in the Bahamas. So with that, I'd like to open things up for any questions that anyone might have, and thank you all for your time.